Hi, so today we're talking about board games. I know that seems a little strange, but you'll see why in a minute. So, board games is definitely something that is another hobby of mine and my family's. It's something we do a lot. And there's a new board game out called Knitting Circle. So I thought I'd talk about this as knitting and yarn and fiber enthusiasts. And this is a game from one of my favorite publishers. They've made some of my favorite games. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about this in case you're not aware of what board game options might be out there, especially because we can't knit and crochet and things all the time as much as we'd like to. So having something that you can do with your family or people who maybe aren't as into the fiber hobby, but yet you can still have a good time with them knitting or doing this with your knitting friends when your wrists get tired. This is a good option for you. So I wanted to kind of talk about this today. So that's Knitting Circle, the board game. Okay, so a little bit about how the game plays. So this game is basically you are knitting up different objects, different projects, and how you put your colors together, what projects you're making and so on can give you different bonuses. And then ultimately, the more completed projects you have and the better they look, the more points you get. And at the end of the day, you're trying to get points. So that being the case, first things first, you have your own little board. So these are what the boards look like. And it's fun. They have a little cat here, and it tells you the little story of the cat. And then you have these different spots. So these are spots for buttons. Now the buttons are how you're going to know what kind of, how you want to make, what kind of project you're wanting to make. So one button, the circle buttons, are going to be colors. So these are colors you're looking for. And for each button, you get points. So if you complete a project and you have these colors in it, then you get this button for that project. Another option you may have is types of projects that you can make. So the square buttons are going to be those. So you're going to have, you can see there, a hat. Here's a sock. So you can make different types of projects. I'll get a little more into those in a minute, but so depending on the type of project you're making, that can be useful. And then additionally, there's the triangle buttons, which are how your project looks. So stripes, this is your stripes button, color block, solid, and those also give you different points. So you're going to randomly draw out those pieces to start the game. You're going to have a few. And then as you complete projects, you'll get to draw more buttons if you have empty spots for buttons. So you're going to keep those in mind as you complete projects to see if you can get those additional points when you complete the projects if they line up with any of the buttons that you have. Now, how you complete projects. Okay, so with your projects, you're going to have different options. You can do mittens. Like I said, there's socks, there's hats, there's sweaters, there's scarves. And so you are going to pick, and again, you start the game with a couple of these. And then as the game goes on and you finish projects, you'll get to pick out more projects. So these projects, when you flip them over, so this is the sweater, for example, you're going to want to try to fill these in. So how you fill these in is with these little tokens. And they come in this fun little bag because they're going to randomly come out each round, and then you're going to get to pick from them on this dial. I'll get into that in a second. But so you have pink, and then you can see this one's knit side, this one's purl side. That actually matters in the game, which is kind of, it's fun that they paid attention to those details. So there's green and purple, and they have a little icon. So if you have any concerns about color, or somebody in your family who has concerns about color, there is little icons on them to dictate, the different colors from each other if you're not able to see colors well. There is turquoise, green, yellow. So these are your different little tokens. And then you use these tokens to fill in these spots. So you can see on the card, it also coordinates if it's pearl or a knit tile. So you do need to make sure that the tile that you get lines up with this. Now, how you do that is we have this dial, and depending on how many players you have one or the other. So you have this tile, and you're going to place these out randomly at the beginning of each round around this dial. And as you do that, you're going to place them face up based on what the icon lists here. So for example, this one's going to be knit side, and this one's going to be pearl side. So, and then you're going to have those on your little dial here. And then on your turn, you are also going to have a cat that's going to represent you, which matches your board. And the cat is going to be sitting on your board here. And you're going to be able to move it 1 to 3 spaces. And then you're going to be able to pick a tile from that group. So you decide to move it, and you decide to get a tile. Now this is going to have everyone's cats on it, right? So as you're moving, taking turns picking up tiles, what you're going to do is each person's going to go, the first phase of the game is basically you're going to take turns taking tiles from the dial until all the tiles are gone. So you may move here, they may move here, so on. So as you're moving around, more and more of these little sweater knit and pearl tokens are going to be gone. So you're going to, each round you're going to have a different set of colors and pearl versus knit tiles to pick from. So that's how this kind of works. And then, so once you've got all your tiles, and you'll place them here at the top of your board as you pull them, and this is each round. Then the next thing you're going to do is, once everybody's gotten all the tiles, then you're going to look at your projects that you have. Let's go back to this sweater here. So this is what it looks like when you pull it off the stack, and then you can flip it over and see that each of these are a little different. And they give you, like, here at the bottom, you can see they give you like different bonuses down at the bottom as well. So what you'll do is you'll take your tokens that you collected, and then you're going to place them in your projects. Now you have more than one project, so you can place multiple. You don't have to place all your tokens that you got just on this project. You can decide between the two. You're going to have to finish to at least here. See, I don't know if you can see here, there's a little dotted line around this one. So this one's optional. If you want to complete the project, you have to at least fill it up down to here. And then this one here is optional. So if you decide to complete this one as well, you get an additional bonus. And then once you've completed your project, and you can see here this little buttons, numbers, these are points and game points. So if you finish to here, you get 5 points. If you finish to here, you get 6. And then you also have this little end game bonus. So at the end of the game, every completed hatch you have is going to get you 3 additional points on top of whatever you already got for your hats and so on. So that is how those work. And then once you've completed your project, you're going to look again at the different buttons you have. So did it match up with any of the colored buttons you got for extra bonuses? Was it the type of projects maybe you had buttons for? Was it the pattern matched your pattern buttons? And then you'll get to add those additional points on here as well. So you have lots of options between completing the project, matching it up with different buttons, how far you want to go in the project, and so on, to determine how many points each project is going to get you. So there are smaller projects like a mitten versus a sweater that are also going to be, the sweater is going to be worth more points, but it's also going to take you longer to finish. And there's only so many rounds. So you can only get so much done. So that is how that works. Now, so additional things. So you've got these little grabby paws. That's what this is here. So if you finish this one all the way to the end, you're going to get a grabby paw. A grabby paw is a bonus token that you can use to swipe a additional token off of your dial that you can use. So outside of your normal turns, you just get a bonus one, and you get to pick it. So that's the grabby paw. If you make a object and your and it doesn't match any pattern at all, you get this little guy. He's a little angry cat, and he gives you -3 points at the end of the game. So this hasn't come up too much. Sometimes you may do it just because ultimately your project is still worth more than losing the 3 points just to get one done. But there are the little angry cat buttons. And then last thing is there are some additional that you can play with. It's optional. But there are some additional bonus cards. So you could have this throughout the entire game. You have a couple of these, and everybody can try to just hit one of these goals to get some additional points. At the end of the game, you just see how many you got. And like I said, these are ones for everybody. So everybody get the tire. So each person's you're the only one who's going to be working on your project. Everybody's going to be able to pick those themselves. But each person at the table is going to be able to complete these extra bonuses and get some additional points. So like this one here is, if you have 7 or more projects of any one color, then you get 4 points. So things like that you can, like additional goals you can work towards throughout the game to get some additional points. Again, that's optional. You don't have to play with that, depending on your group, whether or not you may want to add that in. That's about how the game plays. And after each round, you're going to refill this and just start over pooling your tokens. And then everybody pools their tokens. Then everybody goes through and fills in their projects, see if they complete any, and get those points if they do. And then at the end of the game, we're going to go through here. And here's my little my games I've played. But you have this little score pad, so you're going to be able to go through and score what you got for each button, what points you got for completing your project. Then you're going to get any bonus points. That's these down here at the bottom. So like if I had 3 hats or whatever, I could add additional points for my bonuses at the bottom. Then any of my angry cat, subtract those points. And then this here's the requests. And that is these bonus cards that the whole table can try to compete. And then you add those points in, and then you total it up, and that's your score. So I really enjoy this game. I have a lot of fun with it. I'm terrible at it. And we've played a couple times and I haven't won yet. I think I get too caught up. I actually play this game, I think, like I play as a knitter, and I tend to do too many projects that I can't finish in time. And I will not sacrifice my colors or my patterns to get more points. So, yeah. My husband keeps beating me, but it's still a lot of fun and I highly recommend it. So that is Knitting Circle. This is by Flat Out Games. And if this is something you're interested in, or maybe you've seen other similar games, I will tell you that, again, this is a company that of board games that they have a series that I really enjoy. So if you're interested in any kind of board games, I'm a big fan of kind of pattern tile laying type games, like this, where you you get to kind of work on your own thing and do that. And then maybe you're just pulling from a stash. So this is actually the successor of another game called Calico. This is one of my absolute favorite games. And I do recommend this. This is actually based, this is the first game they came out with, and it's actually about making quilts. And it's all about pulling your tiles and putting your, putting the patterns and the colors together to meet certain goals. And then that attracts cats to lay on your quilts and gets you buttons and so on. So it's very similar. It's crunchy. It's brain crunchy because it is definitely very puzzly, but it's definitely, the successor you can see to this game. And of course, beautiful art by Beth Sobel in both games. She's a great board game artist who does a lot of the art for these games. There's also some other games. They have Cascadia and Verdant, which are also similar, like family weight games. A little bit lighter than I would say Calico is. I would say Calico is probably the hardest of them. Cascadia is probably the easiest of the games. And let me show you Cascadia in case you're curious. This is Cascadia. So this is more of an outdoor game where you're putting different landscape tiles together to attract different animals to your wilderness area. But so that's another great one. And Verdant is similar, but more house plants and putting things in your room with house plants and matching those up. But again, we're talking about Knitting Circle, which is their newest game in the series, and all are, I believe, well anticipated, well liked. And this one, I definitely think is a lot of fun. And especially if you just need something, maybe you just, like I said, maybe your hands are tired, maybe you have some people over and you still want to knit so badly, but you can't, for whatever reason. This is a great way to kind of still be in your hobby without necessarily being in your hobby. So I really enjoy this. If you're looking for something fun to do, I recommend Knitting Circle. And I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions about where to purchase it or anything like that, I will link those down below. You can buy it on Amazon. I believe it might be in Target. I will put that down below if that is the case in the notes. I know some of these games you can get at Target as well. And or your local board game store. All of those things are definitely possible. So, but it is out now. And if you enjoy it, I'd love to hear in the comments if this is a video you liked. If you're interested in playing Knitting Circle, if you've heard about it before, I'd love to hear that too. And if, so I hope you check it out, and I hope you have a great day and have a lot of fun playing games, knitting, fiber related, yarny things, whatever it is that you're doing. It makes you happy and cozy. Have a great day. Bye.